Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Bachi Boys podcast. My name is Ethan. I'm back. It is Super Bowl Monday. It is a tough day. Football is over, but the boys are here to recap it. And we may or may not have a special guest. You'll have to stay tuned to figure it out. But the Bachi Boys starts right now.
Summer, all I did was rest. New Year's, all I did was stretch. Valentine's Day, I had sex. We'll see what's about to happen next. This ain't no regular shit. We never begging for shit. Niggas is ready to quit. Shit that they hate to admit. In Texas, I keep a rifle inside of the whip, call it driving a stick. In Vegas, I get $2 million a night from the wind just to run through the hits. All that on top of the chips.
Boys, we are here on Super Bowl Monday, and Amir is back, baby. Welcome back, Amir.
Yeah, thanks for re-inviting me back, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Took time off my busy schedule.
Yeah. Teacher Amir is teaching the youth of America right now, and he's taking the time out of his busy schedule to teach us a little bit about Super Bowl Sunday. Because Amir, let's get right into it. You were the only one out of the three of us that was somewhat victorious yesterday. Davis and I were both on the Niners, but you were on the Chiefs. So let's start there. How does it feel to be a victorious Chiefs supporter?
Well, my bets didn't play out too well, but I don't know. I kind of had a feeling this was a Chiefs one that they were going to take down, and it just happened that way. I was rooting with a fellow friend of ours, and didn't have any hope or any faith in the Niners really to pull one out and kind of put an end to the dynasty. But I was kind of rooting for the Chiefs just because I hate the 49ers more than I hate the Chiefs, and plus, you guys know I had my money on, so it was just kind of a double whammy for me.
Green's green, Amir. Green is green.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It is. And you kind of hinted at that. You were rooting for the Niners to not end the dynasty, but the dynasty is here. That is 3 Super Bowl rings, if you're counting, which you should be, for the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes in 5 years, among a Super Bowl appearance in the 1 year that they didn't win, losing to Tom Brady. I mean, what is there to say? Patrick Mahomes is 28. This team is not going to slow down anytime soon. Andy Reid is just going to keep going up the ranks of coaches. Travis Kelce, not just a superstar on and off the field, but I mean, he's the leader of that team. Apparently his speech brought the team to tears on Saturday night. But what is your biggest takeaway, Davis, from the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, it is Patrick Mahomes. We were talking about X factors on the last podcast, and I brought up Christian McCaffrey, and a big part of that, we both agreed we couldn't say Patrick Mahomes is an X factor because it's too obvious at this point. I mean, the dude threw for over 330 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he looked like a shell of himself in the first half. He did almost all of that in the second.
If that's even possible.
If that's even possible. I mean, this is now 3 Super Bowls for the guy, and not only 3 Super Bowls, all 3 he was down by double-digit points at one point in the game. I mean, that is something that is going to be going down in history. It's legendary. And the next question is, it sounds crazy that we're talking about maybe him getting 4. Can we start talking about him getting 8? I mean, it's a long ways down the road, but I mean, that discussion has to be talked about at this point.
Does it though? I mean, it's a little early. We don't know. This team could slow down for sure. I mean,
that's what we said. That's what we said after last year and the year before that. No Tyreek Hill.
Let's just look at this first off. I mean, the Chiefs have Chris Jones as a free agent this offseason. They have L'Jarius Sneed, who arguably might be the best corner in the league. Like, people aren't talking about enough. And I know they have a couple other guys that I'm not thinking off the top of my head, but this team is going to have to rebuild every single year. What is the thing that sticks out to you, Amir, that the Chiefs are going to have to figure out for this next season?
I mean, everyone talks about the receivers every year for Patrick Mahomes. It came up this past season, and for some reason, he made it work with MVS and Rashee Rice, like guys you probably won't think about in a couple of years. But, Travis Kelce, of course, he holds it down. Really, they just need to continue to keep that culture. I don't know what it is. The water in Missouri is different. And I don't think it really matters who's on that team, what they do in the offseason, who they draft. It's just keeping the same mentality of every single year people are going to hate us. Every single year they're going to, think that we're probably not going to get there again, and let's just prove them wrong. And that mentality just has to stay consistent throughout the offseason and into the well, it's kind of far away, but into the fall and the autumn and the next season. But yeah, it's kind of keeping your heads in the game. The whole season was riddled with Taylor Swift stuff, and they still kept their heads in and played hard throughout the season. A lot of people probably won't talk about, the regular season for them. It's just, postseason prowess that really shines for the Chiefs, but they really got to keep that mentality. It's not anything about the staff or the players, really. It's just about the staff and Andy Reid and what he can do to get everyone, in the game.
It's a really good point. Davis, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, kind of piggybacking off what Amir said, I think this might be the greatest Super Bowl run in history. I think they beat the 4 best teams in the NFL. I really do. I mean, everyone can talk about it was a fluke. But everyone was looking at them earlier in the year when they beat the Broncos. I know it's the Broncos. They beat them 70-20. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, like this is going to be insane." Achan's the GOAT already. Mostert somehow is scoring touchdowns at a pace that only McCaffrey can touch. And then they kind of wipe him out in a game that was -20 degrees. Tua looked like, the Tua I think a lot of us expected him to look like, not the MVP-ish Tua we saw there in the year. And then we see, like we talked about last week, the Bills rematch, almost part 4, part 5, almost at this point. And it's not even a rivalry at this point because the Chiefs just dominate. And it really, you kind of
shouldn't be a rivalry.
It should be a rivalry, but it's not. And it's because the Chiefs dominate every single time they play. And then not only that, they go into Baltimore, arguably the best team in the NFL leading up to that week. And, they kind of steamrolled them. And I know it was somewhat of a close game, and the Chiefs kind of had their foot on the brakes in the second half, their offense, but their defense shined in that game. And let's not even talk about the Super Bowl because, we're going to get to it. But, I think that this might be very comparable to the Eagles 2017 run, even though there weren't any hiccups injury-wise for the Chiefs this year like the Eagles had.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs, you can't really say anything about this playoff run. You want to say the last couple of years that they've been only doing it at home. Well, this year they did it on the road this time. They didn't have a problem with it either. This time, like we've mentioned already, they had the biggest global superstar ever possibly in their audience every single game, cheering them on, and it somehow was and was not a distraction because they're the Super Bowl champions. Let's just put that into perspective. Like, not any other team could do that. I don't know if the Patriots in their prime could have done that. Like, having that kind of media attention just feels insurmountable in some way, especially when you've already won 2 Super Bowls and you're pretty much the living GOAT to some respects. But, I mean, this team just continues to figure it out. Like we said, they had a couple ugly losses this year. I mean, that Raiders loss really sticks out. I think it was Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, whatever it was. They got the shit kicked out of them. And in a game that was like, whoa, what happened? What happened here? I mean, but it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I mean, the Eagles game this year, the Eagles had complete control of that game, and it doesn't matter. In this game, they did not have control, the Chiefs did not have control until late third quarter, early fourth quarter, and it really felt like the air was sucked out of the building in overtime. I mean, let's talk about the decision from Shanahan to get the ball first in overtime because that was crazy. The fact that they let the Chiefs get the ball second in an opportunity like that when they had the choice. I mean, I looked over at both of you and was like, oh, the Chiefs won the toss, right? And you're like, no, the Niners did. I was like, well, the Niners asked for the ball. That doesn't make any sense. It was like, I don't know. I play Madden a lot, so it just makes sense to me. You want the ball second knowing what happened. So what did you guys think of that? Like, it seemed a little silly, stupid, like all of the above in a Super Bowl setting, right?
Honestly, at the time, I didn't even really think about it. When you were saying that, I kind of just was like, yeah, like no big deal. You have your chance. Like both teams have their chance to score. It's not really like whatever. But with the momentum of the game at that time, it was a dumb decision.
Yeah.
I mean, even when Shanahan was, he took that 4th down later in the game, and we thought it was, a Dan Campbell type of decision. And it paid off. We were like, wow, this guy's got some cojones on him. I mean, he really wants to win it. And maybe he just, thought that they score first. The defense has a little bit more time to rest. There's probably a ton of things that go into it. He's a smarter guy than we are. That's why he's in his position. And a lot of people are going to criticize him for it. And I've heard every single possible take saying, the analytics say this, but the feeling of the team says this, whatever. It is what it is, but it definitely was a interesting decision. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, so here's what I heard. Basically what Kyle Shanahan had said after the game and then in his post conference interview, he basically said he wanted the ball first so he could get the ball third. And it's kind of interesting because he was basically saying, look, we're going to score. We just have to hold the Chiefs to a field goal if we score a field goal, or if we score a touchdown and they score a touchdown, we're getting the ball third. Well, guess what? Andy Reid and the entire Chiefs offense already came out and said after the game too that if the Niners were to score a touchdown there, the Chiefs were to score a touchdown, and mind you, they've been practicing this since training camp.
Yeah.
The Chiefs were going to go for two. Now, could
obviously.
you imagine?
It's the Super Bowl
coming down to a 2-point conversion, and Kyle Shanahan's decision is to get the ball third? You can't look that far ahead, and especially being a guy that has now lost 3 terrible Super Bowls.
He was a head coach. Let's say that.
Correct, but we're at the point now where certain analytics. Looking back in history, I feel like. You look at even Mike McDaniel from this year, he's a big analytics guy. Like some of these analytic guys don't really work out in their favor. Dan Campbell lost full momentum in the NFC Championship after
we're Eagles fans here and
agreed.
We're the complete opposite of the spectrum, so it's easy to say that. But let's play devil's advocate. That analytics guy got Mr. Irrelevant to the Super Bowl.
Was it him or was it Debo and Kittle and
Trent Williams?
Williams.
Let's say Trent Williams more than anything, but I don't know. I mean, Shanahan is a genius. Maybe not the best judgment, let's say, not the best decision maker in the moment, maybe, but he puts his teams in positions to win. I know that they've lost the same way to the same team, and it looks bad, but we can't give up on Shanahan. If Shanahan was fired today, we would fire our coach to get him, correct?
No. I don't want Kyle Shanahan.
I mean, that's a tough call. The tough call.
Seriously?
I think if we're talking about Nick Sirianni now, I think
let's do it.
If you really want a guy I trust Sirianni more than I trust Shanahan, even though yes, the Niners. Okay, hold on. The Niners did have the third best offense in the league or whatever it was, and the second best defense or whatever it was. But I don't want Shanahan in the locker room. He's not motivating the guys. The Niners are a fantastic team, and he just has good schemes that goes along with it. That's why they're a great team. And I think Sirianni's a guy that's live and die by the city. Same thing with Dan Campbell, and that's that's what kind of brought him down was his ego, sort of. And if that's what if that's what's gonna take us down, I don't care. I don't care about that. I'd rather someone that I can stand behind than someone that I'm gonna see right through when I'm standing behind him. You know what I mean?
I get it. But counterpoint, he has been Mr. Consistency. He's been to 2 Super Bowls in 4 years, and in those 2 years that he hasn't been there, he was in the NFC Championship.
I will say, I'm also
just 2 and 5 years. Sorry,
I'm not really a fan of the coaching carousel culture that the NFL is currently on, where one guy doesn't have success in 2 years and it's all over for him. He's on the hot seat. Why is Sirianni on the hot seat? Because he, collapsed at the end of the season. Sure, okay, I get that, but why are we just all of a sudden discrediting every other thing that they've done in their career? True. And Kyle Shanahan is a great coach. I don't think there are many other guys you put ahead of him other than Andy Reid and Belichick and a couple other guys. But that's what I'm saying. Personally, I think if you're a head coach who has had success, you stick with that head coach until something catastrophic happens.
Agreed.
Where the team falls out of love for that coach, not the fans, not the management. The team does. And then you say, okay, we need to think of someone else who's going to lead this locker room. And that's what happened with our OC and DC. That's exactly what happened.
Yep.
Before we wrap up the coaching aspect of the Super Bowl, I just want to throw it out there. I don't know if Kyle Shanahan goes in my top 10 of current coaches in the NFL. I just want to throw that out there. I'm still putting Mike Tomlin up ahead of him 100%. I think Zach Taylor is very comparable. I still think I put Mike McDaniel ahead of him. Definitely Bill Belichick, Andy Reid. I'm taking Mike Vrabel, a guy who should have a job right now.
He should have.
I have an opening for him.
This is blasphemy. This is classic day after Super Bowl blasphemy.
Not a
overreaction Monday.
Ethan,
Pat McAfee show bullshit. Like
Ethan, if you look at
cussing, family friendly, but like we need to set some lines here. Seriously,
absolutely not.
Kyle Shanahan is a good coach, and he's a genius play caller. But he's also a good coach. Let's say that he's a good coach.
Yeah, he's good.
Mike McDaniel, who's literally his son, is better than him. Is blasphemy.
I will.
Mike McDaniel is a bad coach.
Wrong. I think I still take Mike McDaniel ahead of him. I think that there's a certain aspect of the fact that you're blowing games and, look,
blowing games. He was in the Super Bowl.
He was in the Super Bowl because he has the best team in the NFL. He had the best team in the NFL, the best 22 guys on the field. And he still had to make a huge comeback against the Packers, who are a great team, by the way. I think I'd also
put the
take
team
Matt
together.
LaFleur. I think I also take Matt LaFleur over Kyle Shanahan. And then you had to come back from the Detroit
Isn't Matt
Lions.
LaFleur also his son?
Field. You had to take the Detroit Lions. You had to come back from a 17-point deficit against the Detroit Lions.
And they still did. What are you talking about?
Hanging by their toenails, Ethan.
Oh, my God. They were beating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl this year. Were they not?
They were also beating them 5 years ago in the Super Bowl.
Look, I'm not the biggest Kyle Shanahan fan. I'm not bang, bang, Niner gang all day. But I'm just saying, like, let's put some respect on his name because I would love a Kyle Shanahan.
I'll respect it 100%. I mean, I do. I do respect it, but I think they're going to be
really feeling like you are, though, because you put Mike McDaniel above him and Mike Vrabel. I love Mike Vrabel, but he hasn't done anything.
I think it's just he's another one of those classic. You look, at the analytical offensive coordinators that come out. Like
you'd be saying the same thing about McVay if he hadn't won a Super Bowl, though.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Look, I think this. We know that, like Amir said, this coaching carousel of offensive and defensive analytical coordinators that are getting head coaching jobs at a really young age. Like
everybody loves the sexy young offensive mind. You know what I'm saying?
Correct, Mike.
Look at Cliff Kingsbury. He doesn't have a job until now. Like,
I agree. I completely.
But then look at a guy like Vic Fangio, who will like always have a job.
True,
because he's ugly and he's a defensive guy. He keeps his nose below the water.
Look at Andy Reid. I mean,
well, he's a smoke show. Let's not discredit Andy.
How many cheeseburgers?
He's not ugly.
How many cheeseburgers?
I hope Andy had all the cheeseburgers last night and this morning. He deserves a breakfast burger. Like, come on. All right, let's get into the more minutia of the Super Bowl, the commercials, the halftime show, and Taylor Swift, of course.
12 times.
Didn't even
12
let me
times.
finish. Yep, she was on the TV show. She was on the TV how many times?
12 times.
Probably more than that. It felt like a lot more than 12 times. But in case you missed it, she's dating Travis Kelce, and the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, and like basically it's Cinderella on Earth, all that stuff. Besides that, what were your takeaways from the other stuff of the Super Bowl?
I could say something, but I'll just say it.
Now you got to say it.
Yeah, I've been loving the all the memes coming out about the Jesus commercials. I think it's hilarious.
They're great.
All of the memes saying that, Jesus washed feet. Jesus did this. We should, look to Jesus. While these people, whoever they are, spent like $20 million, and when they could have donated that $20 million to the people that they're talking about helping.
It's food for thought. It's all.
Yes.
That's all. It's food for thought. Just saying.
Yes.
But I mean, the commercials, they were like we were all together watching. We were talking a lot. So we weren't really paying attention. The Dunkings one looked fine, but like,
Beyonce.
yeah, the Beyond
The Kanye one was big too.
whatever that was. The Kanye one. I didn't see the Kanye one on the TV. Apparently, that was
No.
on commercials. That's insane.
I don't remember it, but apparently, yeah, on his website, he was selling all of his clothes for $20 each.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Good for him, man.
Yeah,
He
why
definitely
not?
needs the money, probably. All right. So the Taylor Swift stuff. Are we done? Are we done with it? Like we're cool. Like we're gonna be happy seeing her next season because I don't think
You
this
know
is
what?
ending anytime soon.
You know what I'm gonna say? I just thought about this earlier because I was watching some TV and they were talking about Taylor, of course. And
Uh-huh.
I think it's actually like a good thing for Taylor. I don't like I wouldn't I don't I'm not a big fan of Taylor, but I think it's a good thing for her to be like reintegrated into like normal life. Like I don't think you guys understand that
Explain.
she like could not do anything publicly like without being like mobbed. And like last night she went out to like the clubs and she was at these games and people were seeing her. And like it's going to be comparable in a couple of years to like Michael Jackson being like out. Like, you don't see that kind of person out. So I think it's actually pretty cool. I
Okay.
was like pissed off about it earlier in the year, but now I'm kind of just like whatever. She's just like living her life. She just wants to be like
Yeah.
happy. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of over people being mad at her. Like she's just a person.
I
True, but are you
agree.
gonna be mad about it next season?
No. If
No.
if it was like Kevin Hart who was dating like I don't know, someone or I'm trying to think of like someone who's
was-
comparable.
Caitlin
Like
Clark.
sure. If it was like Caitlin Clark
Goat.
and they were showing her around, I'd be like, that's awesome. Why not? Like, why
Yeah,
not show her
yeah.
off? I don't
Yeah,
care.
for sure.
As
No,
long
but
as it
I
doesn't
think
affect the team.
I'm in the same boat as you, actually, Amir, where I actually am at a point where I don't hate it. I don't absolutely love the amount of screen time per se, but I'm in a different boat where I think I actually really enjoy the fact that the NFL is getting such a new demographic watching their channel and
Yeah.
like and their media. I mean, you can make fun of the fact that hey, like, these people don't know anything about football, but it's really integrating like, women to watching football that has been generally a man's sport.
For
And,
sure.
I think that, all these kind of social norms that I think that we're all in the same progressive-ish boat of where it's like, all right, come on, it's 2024. Like people need to relax about certain things. Like,
Yeah.
who cares?
Yeah.
Like I want to sit down and watch a football game with my girlfriend,
Yeah.
with my mom, with my grandma. Like I want to sit and watch. If Taylor Swift being on the screen 12 times is going to help that, what am I supposed to say? You know what
More
I mean?
eyes on the product, the better.
I'm all about it.
Yeah, I agree. And like, especially that she's dating like not just some dipshit like Simone Biles is like. No offense to Simone Biles and her husband, but like he's like
No,
a
her
second
husband's
string guy.
terrible.
He's not terrible. He's
He's
plays,
a terrible guy.
He
He's
plays.
like the
terrible
90th
guy.
ranked PFF cornerback, but we'll talk
All
about
right,
that later.
PF. All right, Chris Collinsworth Jr.
He's the
Relax over
catch,
there.
quote unquote. He's the catch.
But like it's cool that she's dating a superstar who's good, who's also funny as shit, and like it's hard to hate Travis Kelce. If you hate Travis Kelce, it's because you're like a Bengals fan, Raiders fan, or there's a football reason. Like he's a great guy. So it is good for marketing. Like it is fun that we were at a party last night. All the girls were a lot more interested than they probably would be in any other year. If it was the Rams Patriots like it was 5 years ago, that was terrible. Or more. It was
10-3.
5 years ago.
Oof.
Yeah, terrible. But I mean, it is fun, and the commercials they're getting bad. They're getting bad. There's a couple that are good, like the trailers are the things that I feel like I look forward to, and those aren't even commercials. But I mean,
Yeah, but I don't want to see movie trailers that come out for Thanksgiving. Like that was one of the first commercials of the Super Bowl, and I'm like, what is this? Why are you seriously?
Oh, don't hate on
like,
Deadpool. All right.
All right.
I'm just kidding.
But it could be any given movie, and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
come
you're right.
watch this in 11 months. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll pass.
Well, to be fair, like movies and theaters are kind of dying. So
Yeah. They're trying to do their best. They're doing their best.
yeah.
All right,
That's a
let's
debate
move on
topic for later.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some wrap up football questions for the rest of the off season. Let's go to futures, Davis. Let's go to next season because
I absolutely love it.
let's get out of our let's get out of the head of it. Let's talk about who's going to be good next year. who's going to win the Super Bowl because I am looking, and I don't know if I love this team to win, but the Chargers at plus 3,000 with a new coach, Jim Harbaugh, they got just. That's all I'm saying. It's interesting. And then that's just where they're at. And then if you look down, the Browns at plus 5,000. They were in the playoffs this year. They need a quarterback. There are some juicy odds. But Davis, I want you to take us through it real quick.
Yeah, I mean, look, like as I put down there below, way too early. 2025 Super Bowl.
You should have put way too early.
Way too early.
It's literally the day of the Super Bowl.
But there are a few things that I kind of like here. I think that again, it's way too early.
And everything, Davis.
We're looking at why are the Lions the 4th ranked team up there? I don't know because Jared Goff is still their quarterback and he's still mid. I don't care what anyone says. He is still a mid quarterback in my opinion.
Them to the NFC Championship this year.
He only scored 3 points in a Super Bowl 4 years ago with a better coach, Sean McVay. Anyway, so let's look at the Eagles. I mean, as Eagles fans, it's hard to be unbiased about this, but we know the struggles that we had this year, especially with the coordinator changes that we had from the Super Bowl last year. But
good.
Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore coming in. I mean, I would not hate the Eagles at 17-1. I think they're a decent value-ish play for a team that can win the division. And the way that the NFC plays out, we know that the Cowboys are not winning the division. It's going to be someone else. It's going to be there's not going to be another repeat. I think Green Bay would be a great. I think Green Bay would be a great look, 25-1. That's going to be a great division, though. Unfortunately, with the Lions. But Ethan and Amir, what I'm really looking at is the Atlanta Falcons at 50-1. I think that it is an extremely volatile division.
Okay, before you say why, what quarterback could come in there and bring the Atlanta Falcons to possibly, let's say, an NFC championship?
His name starts with J and ends with Austin Fields. I'm serious. Justin Fields will be an Atlanta Falcon for week 1.
Really?
Wow.
Yes. What about the reports that the Raiders are aggressive in the QB market?
Look, I don't hate that either. And you see on the list there, dead last. And I know this isn't every single NFL team, but they're dead last on this list at 75-1. Another bet I wouldn't absolutely hate, but I agree with your stance on the Chargers and the fact that the Chiefs are going to win the division. Like, we know this every year at this point, unless something catastrophic happens. If
you're betting against the Chiefs, you're betting against yourself and you're an idiot.
I want to take a chance with a team that can win a division, and I'm taking the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay. I like it. I like it, Davis. Amir.
Well, there's a couple of teams to look at here. I was more looking a little bit of a different direction. The guys I'm looking at are Texans and the Jets. I'm, a big believer in the Texans. I don't know what it was this season, but I was just, a big supporter. If it wasn't the Eagles, it was the Texans for me. And partly because I had some of their fantasy players, but I was also a fan a little bit. 25-1 though, pretty good. I like the young dogs kind of showed their stuff this season, maybe come back. But the Jets, if Aaron Rodgers can play at all, the Jets defense is solid. It was solid all year. Yep. Aaron Rodgers can sling the ball. I mean, that's all you really need. I think that's a very fun pick. Aaron Rodgers, he had incredible arc surgery that now he's essentially back. If he wanted to play right now, he probably could.
Yeah, he's back.
And just give him a couple more months, he's going to be fine. He is on the lower end of his career. He's about to probably go, but I think he has some vintage moments in him left. And I think the Jets is really where I'd put my money. Plus 3,000, 31. I love it.
I like that. I was thinking about saying the Jets, but I'm going to stay a little top heavy on my picks. I'll give you a dark horse, but the two teams that really stick out to me are the Bills and the Bengals. Two teams that I think are in the exact same spot. I mean, the Bills, obviously, they have dealt with more playoff heartbreak recently, especially after the 4 years in the 90s to just have to go through something this year. Just Tyler Bass, just fucking wide right. I mean, absolutely brutal. I feel terrible for those Buffalo fans. And I mean, the Bengals are kind of in a similar spot. I mean, they had a nothing season somewhat. I know that what's his name? Jake Browning had a couple nice games, but they didn't have Joe Burrow, and that was it. So they're going to be looking to rebound. I know that they were feisty in some games. Zach Taylor, I do not think gets nearly enough recognition as a coach as he deserves. I think he's really, really, really good. And I know they lost their OC, but I think this Bengals team is going to regroup hard. I mean, they kind of had a down year, and maybe that was a good thing. Like, this defense has been really beat up the last couple of years. I know they've dropped some players over the years, but I like the Bills and the Bengals, and I really, really, really would like to see the Bills win one finally, but I don't want to get my hopes up because every year it feels like they might, and they just don't. And then my dark horse, I know I said the Chargers already, but man, I think the Colts are going to be nice next year. I like Shane Steichen. Like, that division is for the taking. Like, it really is. I know you said
You believe
the
in
Texans.
Richardson?
Yeah, man. I mean, Gardner Minshew got them to almost the playoffs. Did they make the playoffs?
They lost to the Texans in Week 18.
Yeah,
that
you're right,
would have
you're right.
made it. The winner made the playoffs.
And like, we watched Gardner Minshew play last year. Like, he was fine in that Cowboys game, but that Saints game was terrible. Like, he is clearly not a Pro Bowl quarterback, which he somehow was this year. I think Richardson and that Colts defense is going to get a lot better next year. And I just like we said with Zach Taylor, I think Steichen's just a great coach that doesn't get enough credit.
Agreed.
I like it. No, I like that pick too.
But I mean, like you said, CJ Stroud and the Texans are going to be a tough team to get past the next couple of years. And then we haven't even talked about the Jacksonville Jaguars yet. Excuse me. So I mean, it's interesting, but this draft and this offseason is going to be so interesting because, I mean, for some reason the Niners are the favorites, even though they literally just lost. But a lot of these teams can jump up. I mean, the Bears could shoot up. For some reason, like the Vikings need a quarterback, and they could be top 10 on this list. They were really good at the end of the year. But I'm really looking forward to this offseason, guys. Really, really looking forward to this offseason. But unfortunately, no football for almost 8 months. That really, really sucks.
I mean, we've got
Let's take the
USFL,
photos.
USFXL, FL, whatever. It's gonna
Yeah,
be.
I mean, that'll be fun. I mean, it's cool they merge the leagues. It's less confusing, I guess. But guys, let's talk about football one last time, but let's head to the college ranks. Couple tidbits from this weekend. Bill O'Brien, he was the Patriots OC this year. He left to take the Ohio State offensive coordinator job, which I also think came with play calling duties. But he is now being rerouted to Boston College. The Boston College head coach actually became the Packers defensive coordinator this offseason. So Bill O'Brien took that opening in Boston College, which means that there was an opening in Ohio State. And, guys, our old pal, Chip Kelly, the one and only, is taking the offensive coordinator role at Ohio State. As Penn State fans, what is your first thought to that? I mean, I'm glad we're not seeing Bill O'Brien, but like Chip Kelly isn't anything to, walk over either, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why Chip Kelly was playing at 11 o'clock Eastern time every Saturday that no one was watching. I think he is the godfather of offensive analytics, and I think he's lived and died with that, which I can respect. Seriously, full-heartedly, I can respect that, especially in the college game. I tried it in the NFL, didn't really work. Why would you trade Shady? I don't know. I still think about that a lot. It gets me angry. Anyway,
He cut Deshaun Jackson, traded DeMarco Murray. We can get on the list.
Yep. But I think this is a very interesting hire for Ohio State, especially with them having Ryan Day, who might be on the hot seat this year. Maybe it could be Chip Kelly gets somewhat grandfathered in if they have a good offense, but they can't beat Michigan again. I'm not really sure. The Big Ten is going to be really up in the air this year with all the top four of the top 5 Pac-12 teams coming over.
You can say that again.
I mean, the one thing I would look at with Chip Kelly last season, 4-5 in the conference and 8-5 overall on the season.
Was that UCLA?
Yeah, UCLA.
Wow.
Not too good. Considering, yes, Washington, great team. Oregon was a very solid team. Even Arizona, they went 10-3, good team as well. But I don't know. I think Chip Kelly, his schemes, his allure is kind of gone. It's a cool hire, I guess, but I would want to hear how Ohio State fans feel about it. I mean, I'm sure there's some different sentiments as, compared to us, mostly Penn State fans, but I don't have any fear of Chip Kelly, really. It's not anything too special anymore. He was a
Yeah.
big time guy back in the day, but now he's just Chip Kelly.
The
Yeah.
only thing we can fear before we fear anything else is James Franklin.
Yes.
He is
I'm always fearful.
he's the boogeyman in the corner of your own room. You just always have to
Yes.
check. Davis, can you tell me though why, for some reason, Chip Kelly went from the head coach of UCLA to the offensive coordinator at Ohio State? Though that is such a lateral move, if not a declining move. Correct?
Because of the future. I mean, you're moving, like Amir said, you're moving from a team that went 4-5 in the conference to a guy that could be grandfathered into a head coaching job at a top 5 prestigious college football program in the nation. I think that there's a lot of potential being the offensive coordinator at Ohio State, and we've seen a lot of these offensive really just coordinators at these giant schools become great talents. And I know Chip Kelly's at an age, where he's not going to be the new hot shot or anything. He already was that. But,
Yeah.
I really think he can make a name of himself, if Ohio State really does the job and, lives up to the expectations of, like they were last year, basically the second best defense in the nation, and can actually score points and beat a team like Michigan for the first time in 2, 3, 4 years.
It's crazy to say.
Yeah, I mean, look to what Ohio State did in their bowl game too against Mizzou. Nothing.
Yeah.
Diddly squat. I mean,
Diddly squat is right.
They probably saw that and were like, you know what? It's time to do something. I think the prestigious, or like the quarterback situation in Ohio State is very interesting. It's been interesting for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of talent. And recently they've had talent, but not as much execution, at least loud execution. In terms of like spectacular plays and whatnot, but
yeah, they've been real quiet, which has been fun on our side.
Yeah, I think they just really want to open it up, and that's probably what this hire is. Just get some guy who knows what he's doing, who's had some success, and give him some real talent and see what he can do.
Yeah, and then let's wrap it up. But one thing I want to get to before we wrap it up, I just spoke of a lateral move, possibly Chip Kelly, the ultimate lateral move in sports this offseason in this sport. A baseball was Shohei Ohtani. He literally moved laterally across the city from the Angels to the Dodgers. The reason I bring it up is he's back. He took BP today for the first time, at least live in front of reporters and press, after his Tommy John surgery, UCL surgery, whatever you want to call it. He seems like he's going to play their opening day game, which I think is in Seoul, South Korea, at the end of March. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't have as much time as a normal opening day usually is, because I think it's like the 20th or 30th of March or something. But what are we feeling now that, like, I kind of forgot that he was a Dodger and it's weird seeing him in Dodger blue. How are we feeling about Ohtani on a Dodgers uniform and him being healthy this quickly too?
Yeah, I think it's just the definition of a sport that has no salary cap. That, that's exactly how I would push to the board of directors or whoever I need to talk to when I say, hey, look, you probably should implement a salary cap, because nobody's going to be interested for 162 games of the Dodgers winning 115 of them. Like, look, it's going to be entertaining, but it's going to come down to a 3-game series in the playoffs for them. So it's just too long of a season, too short of a postseason. I think the wild card 1 game was interesting. I think the 3-game series is maybe worse, actually. I don't know how they're going to be able to find a way to get a good middle ground. But again, like I said last week, they could play the Pirates in a 3-game series and get swept and lose 3-1 and then lose 5-2. And the season's over right there. So I think that it's going to be interesting watching him in the blue and, on the other side of town, basically. I hope he gets a little bit more media attention. I'm not saying he didn't get enough already, but just with this Dodgers team is going to be really fun.
I mean, I saw 9 different clips of him taking batting practice today for the first time since surgery, and I don't think the Angels ever did anything like that. So, props to the Dodgers. It's just better resources.
You gotta feel happy for him, but yeah, you also gotta feel kind of like, I mean, what is this really all coming down to? Like Davis was saying, like, it just feels so, like, I don't want to say pointless, but it's kind of just like a PR stunt. I mean, they signed him for a big amount of money. He's going to win some games for them, but at the end of the day, it's really about who hits well in the postseason in October, who is hot, and who is not.
Yep.
Otani's a fantastic player, and I'm sure he's going to bring out like a ton of highlights this season in the Dodgers uniform in the blue and white. But the past couple of seasons haven't been, or not past season really, and past two have been like, and you look to a team like the Phillies and even the Padres or like a couple other teams, Cardinals. I mean, it's not all about that stuff. I think he's a very cool player. He's like Bo Jackson-esque. He's like, talented in many different ways, but I don't really care about the Dodgers. I don't think many people care. There's no comparison. I mean,
especially them winning during COVID. I think that just kind of like, it was like, who cares? And they've been losing the NLDS every year. But I mean,
same thing with like the Lakers.
To get back on the map.
It's the same thing with the Lakers and their winning. I mean, their COVID win, championship win. It's like they won. Everyone's like, whatever. Like, doesn't really count. Like they were a good team, but whatever. I just think that at the end of the day, it's not going to matter to anyone outside of LA. No one's going to really care. It's a really cool signing. It's going to sell some jerseys. I'm sure. I'm going to see people wearing them at concerts, but that's about it.
Well, that for sure. The marketing and the jersey sales will go crazy, especially internationally. But I mean, the Dodgers, they could be really scary if they get a team going this year. I mean, they already have Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, but we haven't seen Shohei in the postseason yet. Maybe he's good, maybe he's not, but I think it's gonna be great regardless. Because if they're in the postseason and they lose next year with Ohtani, I mean, the Twitter tweets and all that X stuff is gonna write itself. I mean, it's gonna be great. So either way, the fans will win. It's just good for baseball to some degree. And we also need to start pitching again too.
Yeah,
need to start pitching again.
There's no comparison, and it's just kind of ridiculous. Like as a Phillies fan, like across the country, it just like doesn't feel intimidating at all to me. Like I don't care about Shohei. Yeah,
not yet. But
not even the Dodgers before they had Shohei were like intimidating when they were winning over 100 games.
Yeah, I remember in 2008 they felt intimidating. Hopefully they don't ever get back to that.
Manny Ramirez felt like the most intimidating guy on the planet for 6 games, and then
he went quiet as shit.
Yeah, we still beat him.
Yeah,
exactly.
But Ethan, before I wrap it up, can I give you a future?
Come on, Davis. You know I love a good future. Hit us.
Before we wrap it up, can I keep it with baseball? Ready for this one? You guys are not prepared for this. You know, the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl yesterday. We're going to stick it to the Kansas City Royals. They're going to win over 72.5 games. That's my pick. We're not, Ethan, come on. We're not going World Series.
You like Bobby Wood that much, huh?
I'm not insane. Bobby Wood Jr. is him. I love the contract that he just signed. Salvador Perez, great catcher. I mean, obviously, he's just a legendary
guy. He's like 35, though. He's done.
Legendary. And he's still hitting. He's much better than what Yadier Molina was.
The Royals suck.
Royals fans. Lunch bet then 72.5 wins. We'll have to wait 6 months for us to actually pay lunch out.
Deal.
It's done.
Deal. I'm the biggest anti-Royals fan this upcoming summer.
I'm buying a jersey. I'm buying a jersey tonight. I'm gonna have chat figure out what jersey that I should buy.
Hey, what happened about that Niners jersey, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, we forgot about that. We're gonna get him a Zach Greinke's jersey. That's gonna look great on him. Don't worry.
There you go.
Don't worry. All right, guys. Thank you for everyone who joined, who watched. The last video did pretty well. We appreciate the people who liked it on Instagram. Listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everything. We have link trees in most of our social media, so if you need to find us, it is not hard to find. But we thank you for listening. Share, subscribe, like, all that stuff. I don't know. We don't know what platform you're listening to on, but we will always appreciate you for supporting. Thank you. Goodbye.